Welcome fans to That's a Tap CT with DJ, another in studio to recap the UFC and to also bring you our second edition of the weekly roundup. We'll talk about boxing, Canelo, big win. What's going on, DJ?
What's going on, CT? How are you?
Yeah, I'm great.
Crazy weekend again. Yet another UFC pay-per-view delivers. This is sort of like BAU now, you know what I mean? Like pay-per-views deliver regardless of, how the card looks like. And we were talking about maybe, the card may not have like the usual star power that we're accustomed to, especially as the recent form suggests. Having said that, man, no surprises the card did deliver. It was some great fights all around. Obviously, the main event, the marquee event being a really good event. A very close fight, closely contested fight against two eye-level opponents. So, what did you think of the main event?
Yeah, it was great. Went the distance like I thought it would. Obviously, two really high-level fighters. The unknown of Henry Cejudo coming back after a long layoff. And the recent dominance of Aljamain Sterling. How did you see it play out?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, obviously we both predicted. I predicted for Henry to get the win, and he obviously chose Aljamain Sterling. So well done. You got that prediction right. You know what I mean? Should have put some money on it. Now, look, did the fight go the way I expected? No, because I obviously predicted Henry Cejudo to win, and I was expecting sort of his fight IQ to play a part. It's very interesting. All these things that we spoke about did play a part. We did see Henry Cejudo's fight IQ, which was acknowledged by Aljamain Sterling. It did go the distance, right? I mean, while he was coming after 3 years, I don't think there was any ring rust, right? His performance indicated that he was quite fresh and active. You didn't see sort of him being gun shy or second guessing. The adjustments were being made on the feet as the fight was progressing, which is very indicative of the fact that the fifth round was secured by Henry Cejudo. I know a judge gave it to Aljo, but that was the clearest round probably for Henry Cejudo. But all that played out the way it played out. I know there's a lot of controversy around how close. Obviously, the decision, and then some saying Henry won, some saying Sterling won. But at the end of the day, I feel this is my personal opinion. I feel the right person won, right? I feel like he was more active, sort of winning the rounds at the right time. That was quite important. He was getting the takedowns at the right time, ending the rounds on a more significant note. I feel like there was an argument for either 4-1 Aljamain or 3-2. I chose the 3-2. To be honest. I think round 2 and round 5 for Henry Cejudo, and then the rest of it for Aljamain Sterling. I think
agreed.
Some of the surprising factors for me was Aljamain Sterling's ability to take Henry Cejudo down. Obviously, we know he's an Olympic level wrestler, well known for his wrestling accolades, and sort of Aljamain was able to bring him down and sort of control him at some stages as well. There were not as much advancements from securing those takedowns. There were some shots in the middle of the cage. Obviously, later on he came out and said he was trying to set some traps up for Cejudo. It's all part of the game. But look, ultimately, I don't think those takedowns really did much to the process, the way the fight played out. But were you surprised with anything? Was there anything that stood out for you?
Agree with the ability to take him down. Slightly surprising how sharp Cejudo still was. Credit to you. You said you felt there wouldn't be much ring rust, cage rust, obvious from that. But it was a solid performance. Not a robbery, even if Cejudo had won. But convincingly, I think Aljo did enough.
Did enough, I think we were talking about this before. If it had gone the other way, no one would have been mad, But look, I think Aljo was also very busy on the feet as well. He was landing some good shots. So was Cejudo. Then you also got to factor in the damage as well. But hey, I don't think either guy's stock went down. I think You know, Aljamain further cements himself as a dominant champion now in bantamweight, and you know, removed from now like 2 years removed from that controversial knee to the head disqualification win for the belt. Obviously, and everyone you know, painting the picture that, you know, Aljamain Sterling quit and took the easy way out for the championship. To now, you know, we're talking about having him in a conversation with the greatest one of the greatest bantamweights of all time, which is great to see, and it sort of shows how things change and the adjustments he's made, and obviously he's out there to prove that, you know, his haters wrong, obviously. And also for Henry Cejudo, taking 3 years off. John Jones was probably the only one who came back after 3 years and did what he did.
Big accomplishment.
So, you know, Henry Cejudo took the current champion, a very dominant champion, to a decision, a split decision, let's not forget, right? It wasn't a unanimous decision either. It was a split decision win for Aljo. So it was, you know, there's a lot for Henry Cejudo to be proud of. Obviously, his fight IQ. You know, look, you know, age does play a part as well. Like, he's obviously the older fighter, and that, you know, you can only push yourself as much as your body loves it. And I'm not saying that played a factor in this fight, but it will play it in the long run. Seems like he's not retiring, right? Which is great. Which is great for the sport. He's currently now been ranked as number 3, I believe, or number 2, which is great to see as well. You know, when you surround yourself with people like, you know, John Jones, Jiri Prochazka, you know, Davis and Figueiredo, all these kind of, you know, championship caliber fighters, you know, you're going to have that. Even though you're not competing actively in an octagon, you're still going to have that mentality, and you're going to have that appetite for competition, right? And that's what we saw. That's, I would say, is why we didn't see any ring rust in Henry Cejudo, right? And you got to remember now, you know, coming back from a long layoff, we've had you know, John Jones came and he beat Cyril Gane, right? There is an argument that Cyril Gane, you know, wasn't the champion, right? It was a number 1 contender, obviously, by Francis Ngannou, vacated the title. So it's, hey, look, it's not, he didn't fight like the champion, right? Whereas Cejudo's coming back and he's fighting the, you know, the defending champion, who's defended his belt 2 times prior. So yeah, look, you know, good on Henry Cejudo. I think his performance, you should be proud of it. I think he even took the loss well, and he came out and he spoke to the media as well. So a lot of things to commend about Henry Cejudo. I know there's a lot of that cringe, that facade that he likes to put on, sort of drives people away and then sort of gets them to, you know, not see the performance. But I think this is a good reminder that, look, you know, beyond all that, Henry Cejudo is an amazing fighter, great competitor, athlete, and it's also a good sport as well. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of respect shown to Aljo afterwards. Now, there is a question that is getting thrown around a lot, which is, well, does this make, now, like, looking at the resume, does this make Aljamain Sterling the greatest bantamweight of all time? What do you think?
I think he's definitely close. Some part of me doesn't feel like he's earned that just yet. But he's close. You know, so I wouldn't say he's that far away. Maybe a couple more title defenses. Just given the stop-start, what happened with the knee, and I just feel like he just needs to really, you know, continue with this and win a couple more challenging bouts. But he's close.
No, I agree. I think it's put together a really impressive resume, and I think Henry Cejudo's name in there is considered arguably one of the best ex-double champ, right? You know, it's a very very great big name to have in your resume, and then he's also beaten the likes of Corey Sandhagen, TJ Dillashaw, Peter Yan, right? So it's a great resume, but I think also he's sort of right now in the middle of his career, right? I think he's still, you know, he's going to be doing some more good work, right? I think he definitely is on track to become that. But yeah, look, man, impressive resume. What did you think of everything? What do you think of everything that happened afterwards? Once obviously the victor was announced, there was a little bit of a circus inside the cage. Did you catch that?
I certainly did, and it's all part of the show. It's funny how you know, Endeavour now owns WWE.
Yeah, it was a bit of WWE.
And we're starting to get a little bit of that theatric. But no, look, I like I like the storylines, you know, every big fight, there's always what's next. We always ask each other, like, what's next? And the crowd and the fans always sort of have in their mind, like, whatever, regardless of a result, like, this might happen next. And I think the UFC is now starting to get on the front foot and sort of, like, if they know a guy defends the title, they kind of know who's going to be next kind of thing. And they're now getting them in the arena. They're now getting them in the octagon. What do you think of that generally?
Yeah, I mean, look, UFC was an organization that never really needed that. Do you know what I mean? Like, they could always build big fights purely based on star value, star power, accolades and performance and skill. All right, because they're known to put the two best guys to fight each other, right? But at times it does add to this. I mean, some of the theatrics that you can think of when DC beat Stipe, you know, Brock Lesnar walks in. It's a bit of a comedic event, and then obviously one of the good ones was when Alexander Volkanovski walked in, and for Islam's, after Islam's victory in Abu Dhabi, that was good, respectful. They sort of agreed, look, this is what we're going to do, pound for pound, number one versus, the lightweight championship. Then we had Davis and Figueiredo walk into Brandon Moreno. So that was that was probably the most awkwardest interaction ever. Like, they didn't know what to do. He was trying to congratulate. It was just weird. This was not that bad. It was somewhere in the middle. I reckon, to be honest, man, Marab stole the show and he saved that whole thing. Like, him taking the jacket was just, I reckon if he already was developing a really good fan base based on his fighting and also sort of his personality, but I think he's just getting more and more likable. People are going to gravitate towards him more, and obviously his name value and star power is going to keep increasing. But man, he saw the opportunity, took it, and then he was having fun with it. It was great. It seemed to a certain extent scripted, or probably was expected to do this, because as the winner was getting announced, we saw O'Malley standing next to the cage, so obviously they had planned that to happen. Dana White came back and said, look, probably in hindsight, that wasn't the best thing to do. But hey, in terms of the fight, man, whether that thing took place or not, I'm hyped to see Sean O'Malley versus Aljamain Sterling. It was no secret. They were clear about it. Sean O'Malley was, kept on ice because he's the next contender for that belt, so whoever the winner would face them.
Definitely.
I think there was a widespread desire by the UFC for that person to be Henry Cejudo, just to bring that theatrics a little bit more, right? But obviously Aljo won. He was a better man on that night, so now he's fighting Aljo. It'll be an interesting matchup. Like, I'm intrigued to see that, right? I think it's a tough matchup for Sean O'Malley, right? I think Aljamain Sterling is extremely good, and now people are starting to see that, right? He's getting to that part where we say he's well-rounded, not just his ground game, like, he's getting well-rounded. So it's a great fight. I'm excited to see it. Rumors are it's in August, right? So excited, man.
Yeah, just I want to make a point about just another reason, DJ, why this makes the UFC the best fight organization, right? From this perspective, we want fighters to be active, right? By setting up right after in the cage, right after a champion has just defended the belt, they're already pushing it forward for what's next, right? Sometimes in the past, when a champion boxer, for example, has won the fight and defended his belt, no one knows who the hell he's going to fight next. He delays it. He's like, he goes, I want to go on a nice holiday, we'll see. And boxers, it loses all the momentum. You don't hear nothing for 6 to 8 months, 1 year, 3 years, and then the fighter just doesn't fight again. But here they are fast-tracking things. You want fighters to be, and champions to be active, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, that's what you see in boxing, a lot of the return of this person. I mean, you don't have to return after a fight. You just do your next fight. It's the comeback fight. So many comeback fights because of those gaps. Sorry. Look, but I like the fact, and I've always applauded the UFC for this. We all have. Is that they get the best to fight the best. There's no delays. Obviously, we get the rare occurrences between, like, obviously the Francis and Ngannou stuff. But whenever they can, they do it. Like, you got the big fights ready to go. Let's do it. That's it, right? There's no protecting, records or anything like that. You just do it. Hey, but I had a question for you. Now, obviously, he's fighting. Aljamain Sterling is from New York, right? And then they fought in New Jersey. Right, which is not too far from New York. Yep. So Aljamain Sterling is the homeboy, right? Like he's a homegrown fighter. But were you surprised that the crowd was booing him?
I was.
Yeah.
I was. Great point. I forgot. Is it the confidence? What do you think? Like,
I feel like it's just that people are still very slow to forgive that incident that took place with the knee, right? I think we should move on now. He's done enough and more to prove that, okay, well, that was a one-off thing. He beat the same guy convincingly. And he beat another ex-champion in TJ Dillashaw, who just beat Corey Sandhagen. And then he also went out and beat now Henry Cejudo, arguably one of the best bantamweights, one of the best fighters on the planet right now. So I think it's time to give him his dues. I just feel like, the crowd's it's just that they go with the trend, right? Like at the moment it's hate on Aljamain. Which is a bit surprising, especially, you got to stand behind your, hometown hero, right? Your fighters who go out and fight for you and represent you. So I think, and especially after such a performance, he put a great performance against a great athlete. So I don't think there was any booing required. So I was a bit surprised and a bit disappointed as well. But it was interesting. They were cheering Henry Cejudo, so I
just think personas play a big key. And he comes across as like with his confidence and his outspokenness, that he is a bit more of the villain kind of thing. Like antagonist.
Absolutely. I think the surprising factor was usually Henry Cejudo is that, right? Because
usually,
of his theatrics, he's very Colby Covington-esque when it comes to that. He likes to sort of play on the emotion of the crowd and sort of rile them up, and which is what he was still doing. But for some reason, the crowd opted to show their disapproval for Aljamain over Andy Cejudo.
I think Cejudo is at the point where he's the elder statesman, so people sort of don't look at him like the antagonist like they used to anymore. It's like, Aljo's coming up into his prime. And with his persona, his confidence and flashiness.
I get you 100%, right? Because I also feel like Henry Cejudo is getting a lot more respect now than what he used to back then as well. So absolutely agree, man.
That's
spot on.
A good case of the layoff doing Cejudo good for his persona, because that division was kind of at a standstill when Cejudo retired, which was one of the reasons he retired. He wasn't getting paid as much as he wanted. There was little interest in pay-per-view and all of that, and then success all around.
He retired in the first event of the pandemic, remember? UFC 249, where Tony Ferguson had his first loss, breaking his win streak. But now there was a lot was made of what's after this for Cejudo, right? Like, I mean, he retired, he came back. If he had won, obviously the path was clear, right? He was calling for the O'Malley fight, and then he goes up and fights in the 145 division. He lost, right? So there was a confusion. Is he going to retire again, or what's going to happen? Like, obviously, he's not the champion. Will he just stay as a contender? Like, obviously, he's got that legend status, right? Would you stay as a contender? I feel like in the following few days, he came out and answered that question by saying, I'm not done, and called out Merab. Do you like that matchup?
I do, that's great. Also, I'm really happy he decided not to retire again straight away. Because you do all that effort, you come back just for one fight. And I know it's a hard grind. I know, you lose that title fight, and you probably go home that night and you question, should I do this anymore? But take the time, make your decision, know that you want to continue to do it. And then, go full steam ahead.
Absolutely.
So he's 36. I expect to see a few more fights, but not for a long time. But Merab's still a big key matchup. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I love that matchup. I think Merab's in a tough situation because he's like, well, he can't fight Aljamain, so where does that leave him, right? He's kind of in limbo after having beaten, Peter Yan. He should be ideally the next person for the championship. But this one gives him a great opportunity. Not only does he get a high-level fighter, he also gets a big name, right? Keeps him occupied. And I like the fact that the call-out was for the Boston card, so it's in the same card as Aljamain Sterling. Rumor is, we all expect this to happen once Aljamain Sterling, if he were to win the fight, he will then announce his move to 155, which vacates the belt.
Wow.
Sorry, 145, 145. Which vacates the belt. And, the winner of that could easily fight, another top contender, Corey Sandhagen, who's in the sidelines now.
Isn't Cejudo interested in 145 eventually? He keeps calling out Volkan.
Yeah, he wants to do it, but I think he's such a competitor, and he wants to go into the new division as a champion. Right, he wants to be another double champ, I feel, and he wants to do it with being champion at 135 and then a champion at 145.
Yeah.
So that's what his vision is, I feel.
So you see Aljo being first to move up.
Yeah, obviously, because he's got the whether he wins or loses, I don't think. I mean, if he were to lose to Sean O'Malley, maybe there might be a rematch. I don't know, but if he were to win, definitely he'll make them all up. He's openly said that.
Yeah.
But hey, there's a conversation for another day. But him and Volkanovski, I don't know. Volkanovski is tough. It's a bit of a either guy, Cejudo or Sterling. They're both talking about Volkanovski, man.
Everyone wants a piece of Volkanovski now.
The pound for pound
king. They see what he's got. The way he's doing it, and they just want to take what he's got.
It's no easy task, man. It's no joke.
I feel like part of me thinks that Holloway deep down feels like he could go with him again.
I think he wants to. Yeah, I mean, as a fighter, you always want to get that one back. You know, like that's what
that seems to be confirmed though. A Holloway fight.
Yeah. With Volkanovski.
No, Holloway and I forget. It'll come to me.
He just beat Arnold Allen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has he announced another fight?
Like not announced. It hasn't been announced.
It's a rumor.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. It's a rumor. Yeah. In terms of what's next.
Yeah.
For him, but this thing cycles so fast, so it's hard to keep up. But what did you think of the co-main event?
Oh man!
Speaking of fighters that are being active, Gilbert Burns. Let me ask you point blank, DJ. Was this a case of being too active to your detriment?
Probably is, right? Because, I mean, you're putting your body through so much for each training camp, right? Now, the first fight, obviously, it was a quick submission. He came out, and then he obviously fought about a couple of months later, or 3 months later, to be honest. It wasn't that bad, like, obviously, and then he goes 3 rounds with George Masvidal. And then he, does a quick turnaround. Very next pay-per-view is a 4-week gap.
Yeah.
It does take a toll on your body, because it seems like, okay, look, one thing we cannot take away from Belal Muhammad is the fact that how good he was in that performance.
Yeah.
Right? It was really good. Right? It was a great performance. I think even if Gilbert Burns wasn't compromised in any way, I still feel like it would have been a tough fight. It wouldn't have been a walk in the park. Definitely would have been a much closer fight. It would have been a closer contested fight.
Yep.
But in that first round, obviously, it must have been one of those extremely lethal kicks that Belal Muhammad was throwing that he caught on his arm. And his left arm, I believe, he couldn't. Yeah, something happened and he couldn't throw it. It was not working, right?
It was probably numb. A nerve damage.
Nerve could be, yeah. No, look, I don't think there's any reports that have come out yet. But look, and then speaks to the toughness of Gilbert Burns. He goes to 5 rounds. Obviously, Belal Muhammad couldn't finish him. But it was a dominant performance by Muhammad anyway, right? So, I mean, look, I know there is that asterisk next to that win with, not really an asterisk, but it's just more, is that performance dominant or was it up because Gilbert Burns couldn't, use all his tools? It kind of maybe, I think for Gilbert Burns, he just needs to take some time because obviously he was well primed to be sort of the next person for the belt.
Yeah.
And now this obviously drops him a couple of notches, right? He's got to get a big win, but seems like he's in Dana White's good books, which is good. Like he's very appreciative of him. Look, man, it was like a clear 5-0, to be honest. It was a 5-0 drubbing.
I think I may have said this about Gilbert, but I've said I'm trying not to be unfairly critical, but I'm seeing him as not marquee champion. I just can't see that in his future. But I see him someone that's going to be like a perennial cowboy, someone from rank 3 to 8 for years to come. And a big name that someone uses to get to that next step. But how do you feel? I just can't see him as being someone who's destined to dominate that division. Like, what do you think? He just doesn't have that it factor yet.
Yeah. I mean, but you could have an argument before Leon Edwards became the champion. We could have said the same about him too, right? We never really saw him as the welterweight champ who beat Kamaru's not once but twice.
Yeah. He had that mysterious factor, though. For me,
Leon Edwards. Yeah. No, I see what you mean. I do think once someone captures the championship, sort of their aura, their persona changes as well.
Yeah.
I think with Gilbert, he's a great fighter. right? I do see him like sort of, sometimes some of the decisions he makes it costs him, right?
Yeah.
Like this quick turnaround kind of costed him, right? I also do feel like Gilbert Burns is also someone who's just one good performance away from being back in title conversation, right?
Yeah.
He's a fighter, right?
Yeah.
Like in terms of, obviously we know his skills on the ground are well documented.
Yeah.
He's also another well-rounded fighter, extremely tough, throws heavy hands. But yeah, man, look, maybe you're right, but time will tell.
Yeah, love his style. He always active, comes forward.
Yeah.
He's an exciting fighter. So you'll always have me as a fan. But I just don't see that it factor yet. But speaking of that, Belal Muhammad, got to give him his flowers now. This really...
Remember the name.
Where does this put him, DJ?
Oh man, number one contender. Dana White's confirmed it. Like obviously it's gonna be a tough fight. I know he's fought Leon Edwards already, and then we know that first round Leon Edwards was dominating the fight until the eye poke, right? But I also feel Belal Muhammad is a completely different fighter now.
Yeah.
Especially seeing some of his performances, and let's not forget he took this fight on short notice too.
Okay.
He was coming off Ramadan after having fasted for that period of time, and then doing a quick training camp, weight cut, and all these kind of things. So he put himself at risk too. He could have said, no, actually no, I don't want to risk anything. Give me a proper training camp, and I'll fight like a proper contender, or I'll fight Burns with a proper training camp. But he's like, you know what, let's do it. So he took as much of a risk as Burns did too. For him, it paid off, and I think he's rightfully the next number one contender. No easy task for either of those who are going to fight for the title, either Colby or Leon. Whoever wins, they've got a tall task ahead when it comes to, either it's a rematch with Leon or a fresh matchup with Colby. It's going to be a banger of a fight. And he's again, Muhammad is extremely well-rounded too. You know what I mean?
You're right. Cannot wait.
Yeah.
For that, and well deserved. He's growing as a fighter. Another case of a name that's been around a while that reaches their A game, and just at the right time, like
peaking,
Leon, like Leon Edwards when he strike. Now we've got to hit on briefly on the upset on Andrade, and then we'll talk about the Canelo.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I was watching this fight, and then I was telling the person I was watching it with, look, the way Andrade is coming forward with the hands down and throwing wildly, Jan's backing up, but she's very aware of what's going on. She's going to catch her. Yeah. And she did. Jan Xiaonan, man, with the first round knockout, statement-making win, cements herself as the next contender for the championship. And from what we hear, it's going to happen in China, man. What a blockbuster event that would be.
Yeah, if that happens,
it'll be crazy.
I know it's probably going to be a lot involved in making that happen, but the UFC knows they're going to make that happen.
Yeah.
Like that. That's going to open up another huge market. Obviously, they've done the Singapore card, which I've been fortunate to be there last July, I think, or June. But to open up the Asia market even more. And we talked about Mexico in the last episode. To have two champions in the Chinese Asian region, with the champions. Which is, the UFC just hitting gold mine after gold mine after gold mine.
And don't forget Li Jingliang, another top contender, although out for a bit because of his spine injury.
Song
Yadong, man, like a statement-making win for him too. Hey, what's going on with Wei Li? We haven't heard anything about Wei Li and the next matchup, right?
I don't think so.
Maybe they were waiting for this fight to play out to sort of... Because that's the downside of it. Like, you don't want to keep people on ice too much, especially someone who's in their prime, like Wei Li. Just got to get those regular fights in. Also we don't know what's happening with Rose Namajunas. Nothing's.
Maybe they're waiting for Joanna to come out of retirement and make another.
Oh man!
But did anything else in the card stick out?
Oh man! Obviously, look, some good things first. Matt Fravola's knockout of Drew Dorber, man. We talk about Drew Dorber all the time, and we were talking about how maybe that fight should have been in the main card.
The steamroller Fravola's.
Oh my god, man, that just fight was crazy. What a way to end the prelims and start the main card. It was crazy, man. It was a good fight.
Now he might fight
Paddy.
Yeah.
Been calling up Paddy, but Paddy's injured at the moment and he's not in fight shape unless he's willing to wait for a while. Paddy said like if once I'm back, I'm happy to take this fight.
Okay.
And then I really liked the got fight of the night. I liked the Evloev Diego Lopez fight. It was really good. Obviously, it was a contender series winner, taking a fight on short notice, 5 days to be specific.
Yeah.
So did Evloev, right? And then obviously it was a great fight. There was some submission attempts, man. Like I was on edge. You almost pulled the upset, but obviously, Mosbar got the win, undefeated still in featherweight. A name to reckon with, slowly rising up the ranks. Oh man, but one fight, I was like, what the fuck is going on? Was Kron Gracie and Charles Jourdain. No fault of Charles Jourdain in any way.
Yeah.
Oh my god, man! Like I was like, Dana put it best. He's like, well, he felt like he came out of a time capsule. It was like it was very odd. Like I swear, Kron's striking was a lot better than that. He did not throw anything, and then he was butt scooting, and he was eating punches to get into the clinch, and did nothing with it. I didn't feel like Charles Jourdain was in any sort of threat, and he pieced him up on the feet.
That's the classic case of rust that I speak of.
Man, it's beyond rust, man.
Yeah. I mean,
it's decommissioned.
Let's be honest, right? If you don't fight for a few years, like fighting is a sport of all other sports where your reflexes, your reaction, your recovery, all those things need to be active.
Absolutely. Right? I mean, look, I'm not a fan of like sort of saying these kind of things because it's no easy task to train and to do the commitments that is required of you to step into a cage in a world-class organization such as the UFC and fight. But look, this is not it. Like it was just not the performance that we were expecting in a main card spot. Yeah. I mean, we were promised, like he was promising a lot of things in the lead up to the fight. He was talking a little bit of smack with Jourdain. Kind of cost Jourdain sort of a little bit of the stock as well, because I mean he was trying to do as much as he could, but what can you do sometimes? You know what I mean? The guys from the ground, like
I said to you off air, it reminded me of the Puertas Dan
Uca Puertas, yeah. But I reckon this was a little bit worse than that.
It was.
I was surprised. I don't know if he was having an off night, and then maybe he remains active, and his next fight he turns it around. But I just feel like there was a lot of good striking in that Cub Swanson fight. Where did that go? Like, I feel like there was talks about him having, taken time off to, upgrade his skill set. I don't know, man. Like, I just didn't see no upgrades in that performance, unfortunately. But yeah, look, overall, another great card by the UFC. They deliver. It's become, business as usual for them in terms of delivering back-to-back blockbuster cards. Talking of business as usual, we had Canelo Alvarez cement another victory in Mexico, Cinco de Mayo weekend. What did you think of that fight?
Well, to be honest, the highlight for me was the intro.
Oh yeah, that was so good.
Rocky, a throwback with the Eye of the Tiger remixed.
So good.
Rocky 4 like it was, but in front of the Mexican crowd.
Yeah.
Absolute home run.
Yeah.
That legendary status. Yeah. That was the highlight for me.
Oh my god. I mean, look, there's a little bit to unpack in that fight, but obviously, man, like the walkout was nothing short of legendary, man. Yeah. I mean, it's clear he's like the hometown hero. Like, he's like considered a king there, and it kind of showed like when he walked out, the reception he got, the setup, the music and everything. So man, it was amazing. Look, did the fight live up to that walkout? I don't think so. What lived up to sort of like exceeded expectations was Ryder and his performance. Right, I think he was phenomenal. Obviously, he clearly lost the fight. There is no argument there. But man, his heart, and to be able to come back and put it on Canelo in pockets as well was great to see. Obviously, after the 5th round knockdown, which was a brutal knockdown, he was against the ropes, completely collapsed. Canelo walks back, probably in his mind thinking, you know what, done. I've got this, 5 rounds and done, right? And then he beats the count, he gets up, and not only does he get up, and he comes back and he puts it on Canelo, right? And then it became like a back and forth fight. We did see Canelo being taxed
Yeah.
We did see Canelo tiring. We did see sort of some blemishes from Canelo's end too. There were murmurs that obviously, okay, we're seeing now Canelo's peak. Now we're seeing the other side of it.
Yeah.
Maybe, he's sort of passing his prime now.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, it was not like a standard Canelo performance. I think that 5th round knockdown, usually I would think someone like Canelo finishes that fight. If not that count, in the next few minutes, he finishes it, right?
Yeah.
You smell blood, he goes for it. But I felt like, that just wasn't there.
Yeah, I feel like you got to, as you get older and your abilities diminish a little bit, you got to find other ways to win fights. Yeah. You see the way Floyd sort of coasted his way through later fights in his career. It's more your physical abilities don't always carry you through.
Yeah.
It's the same for other sports, but your smarts, your experience, all of those things.
Yeah.
I think he'll get to the point where he's going to be like, okay, this is what's going to carry me more to wins, not KOs and all of that. Yeah. Maybe more experience and smarts.
Yeah, fair enough. I also feel like there was a lot of pressure on him too, right? It's after 12 years he's returning to Mexico, fighting in front of his own crowd. Not only that, right? He's fighting an opponent who the bookmakers and the general public are expecting him to steamroll.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of pressure on his shoulders too. So it's interesting. Now, what's also interesting is he's calling out Belal for a rematch, the only guy to beat him recently, other than Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
And he wants the same weight, same everything. Obviously, there's Belal saying, I want a 168 because I want something for it, I'll fight you again. I've already beaten you there. I'll fight you again, but if I win, I need a reward, which is the belt. So let's fight in a weight class where you got belts.
Yeah.
So which is very interesting. I think that's the rightful thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, Belal won, and he's asking for a rematch in a weight class where he can win some belts. But man, if the Canelo that fought last weekend fights Belal, I feel like that's just, it doesn't look great. And we've been calling the Benavidez fight, right? Benavidez Canelo. Ooh, I don't know, man. Benavidez might take it if that's the case. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Well, stylistically, it's exciting. But I'm happy that Canelo wants to continue to be very active.
Yeah.
That's what we want to see in boxing.
Yeah.
Fight fans. Yeah, boxing is riding a bit of momentum that we've been talking about on the show. Yeah. But for that to happen, it needs to continue.
Yeah.
Don't you say?
Absolutely.
And some other, not necessarily imminent news yet, but they're looking at Saudi Arabia, a heavyweight, sort of tournament.
Yeah. Man,
which if that happens, all eyes.
You make billions. Talk about billions, man. Trillions. Fuck.
On that, what do you think about? There was talk about Jake Paul when asked who's the face of boxing. He said, it's Canelo, Gervonta Davis is the tits, and I'm the arse.
Oh, man. I don't think he's even the arse yet. But
what do you think of the Nate Diaz?
Yeah, look, first of all, the tournament really excites me. Yeah. If you're able to bring the 4 heavyweights off the heavyweight division, Fury, Usyk, Joshua and Wilder, not only under the same stadium, but in the same night, in the same event, that's just blockbuster guaranteed, right?
Ka-ching.
All eyes, the whole world watches it, man. Like, the whole world comes to a standstill and watches that card, right? So, praying to all the combat gods that gets made. In terms of Jake's statement, man, I don't know. Like, he obviously likes to clown around a bit. He's fighting Nate Diaz. That was a comedic press conference. Nate Diaz walks out halfway. Jake Paul's midway in a statement. He walks out to go to the bathroom. It's just fucking funny. But that's just Nate Diaz, right? Nate Diaz is Nate Diaz, and he always will be. And that's why we love to watch him. Look, size-wise, I was actually thinking maybe there might be a size big discrepancy, but from the face-off, it seems like they're both like similar build, right?
Definitely. Jake, his Diaz has put on weight.
Yeah. I mean, we know Diaz's cardio is really good, right? His durability is good, but he also takes a lot of punishment, so he just needs to be very careful there.
Oh, yeah.
But man, look, I don't think this press conference did anything to excite us any further than sort of the interest we already have. So yeah, look, I'll watch it obviously, right? More for Nate Diaz than anything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, it's just like, I guess just another event. just a press conference to start the ticket sales going. That's that. And then, but hey, 2 weeks removed from Loma Haney, that's a big one. But 20th of May, that's going to be huge. And we've got another card, UFC on ABC, coming up this Sunday. Your favorite fighter, Johnny Walker's in it, main event, taking on Anthony Smith. The main event's the heavyweight showdown, Jairzinho and Almeida.
Biggie boy.
So, man, there's a lot coming up in the combat world too.
There is, I cannot wait to see these fights continue to roll as the content on That's a Tap continues to roll. This has been another weekly roundup as well. Continue our conversation in the comment section. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, tell another fight fan, friend about us, and I will see you on the next one. CT and DJ for That's a Tap.
It's all wrapped up, guys.